I'm keen to hear about the rice. Let's go.
I I have too. Let's get going. So of course, we've done the GMs. So why don't we talk about you first, V and Moody? Let's hear about the both of you. And tell us about yourselves and maybe about how you got into Web3 to begin with. Why don't we start with you, Moody, Metaverse fam?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Uh, can you guys hear me right now? Is everything good? Because I just switched to like mobile network.
You are
So
100% good, my friend.
okay, cool. So I kind of got into Web3 in like April, so it's going to be a year, and it's been a crazy year, right? I got into Web3 because I was working on my own digital art app, and that was kind of going nowhere for like 3 months. And I kind of felt like maybe NFTs are the best way to really implement digital art in like a social media landscape. And I started getting into NFTs, and then I think it was like I started like seeing all these one of ones, like Tezo's whole atmosphere, like in that summer 2021 area, and then I kind of moved to like Ethereum based NFTs, and like all, and that's kind of when I joined MVU, and that was like a crazy time, like from August all the way, like December, we was just like learning about it from you guys, all these NFT projects, how to really judge one, as well. It helped me like create like the foundation for what is RiceDay, like really how to the project. But yeah, that's kind of what kind of got me into my NFT journey, right? Um, and then I guess like after we kind of explained her journey, I guess we can explain like how we kind of got interlinked in this project.
Yeah, absolutely. V, over to you. Interested to hear how you got into the space.
Uh, hey guys. So I started to get into NFTs. I think like for almost like years ago. Um, Zhang is my best friend, and she's also one of the Rice brother. And together, me and Zhang and Nam, we built up like an NFT project called Rise or Die last year. And at first, there was like one of one projects that we sell on auctions on variables. And we have been like dropping for like, I think about 65 NFTs or something. And yeah, and I mean like back then, the NFT bubble is, yeah, is a lot smaller, and is I would say like it's a lot more simple to try to have our artwork sold and stuff. But like later on, I think like slowly we kind of think that we need to make like a bigger difference, and we need to like build up the projects in a way that we are able to like influence more people. Therefore we have this idea to like come up with a generated projects. And yeah, and then we meet like Moody's on the way, and also we had two other artists that joined our team, and that's how we started RiceDay. Yeah, so that's my journey.
I love hearing it. It's great to see that both of you have been around for some time now. And touching on the art itself for this collection, can you talk through the creative process? Now you've got a couple of more artists on board. We understand the origin, but what process do you go through with the generative collection, and how has that sort of evolved over time?
um yeah, so I think I can like explain a bit about the art, although we don't have anyone from the art teams today, but I have been there and watching the progress from the beginning. Um, so yeah, our artist come from a studio. It's called Fustick, and is from Vietnam. And um, the artist has been working on other projects with actually some big customers. Like they have been working with Adobe, Uniqlo, Adidas, some art projects for Bad Bunnies and Billie Eilish, and so on and so forth. And yeah, so like our artist comes from a background of like visual artists, and for them it's, it's not just to make something nice. What they care about is also like to create a good experience with the artworks, like a good visual experience. And yeah, and the RiceDay collections was influenced a lot from our childhood, the environment that we grew up with, and also food is a big topic of the artworks. And because we need rice, but it doesn't look like rice grains or something like that. Rice is the name of the concept because we think rice is something really important in a lot of cuisines, in a lot of cultures. And in each cultures people have like different spices, different ways of cooking rice, and different things that people eat with rice. And that's how we build up the logic for the system of the generated arts. Like each rice dish would have like smell and taste and different like decorations and stuff like that. um and for the generated system, I would say we have about 54 one-ones. And also like for each chase, I think together we have like, yeah, I think together we have like over 600 variations. That's actually a huge amount, and therefore the art teams has been working really, really hard to achieve that. So we want to make sure that at the end, every prize was look really valuable, and also at the end, it's gonna be really easy for people to kind of like identify the ranking system. And it's also yeah, and also we want to like make sure that it's chase each other inspiration goes like goes with a special meaning that we set it up. So yeah, we have like one person just to work like exclusively on the ranking system to make sure that it's um well organized, and we have another person to work on the generated process. And I don't know if Moody want to add something into that part.
Yeah, I like one of the big things about our generative system, like early on, was that it was kind of like November-ish. We were kind of seeing interfaces kind of just like blowing up, and we were like, okay, if this is the standard for 3D projects, we need to really reach that. So we brought on like someone who's really good at generative systems. So we built our own like proprietary generative system. So the 3D artwork group looks really well, so the shading, the lighting like works like it all like combines and kind of doesn't really, like a lot of 3D projects, like the assets don't really mix well with the backgrounds because there's issues with their shading. So we make sure that our system can handle all that, and it doesn't look off. Like that was one of our main things. We wanted to really create a gold standard. Like now that IP like interface is not there, I think right now we can set the standard for 3D projects in the generative system.
You hit a very good point there, Moody, and I definitely agree with you that recently we've seen a whole bunch of collections in 3D space that just look flat, don't they? When reveal happens, it's like what happened.
Yeah.
I really like to hear what you're saying there with the shading.
Yeah, yeah, that's the part, like we were just working so hard to try to avoid that, because we know a lot of 3D projects just collapse after people see the review of it. I don't want to name all of them, but yeah, we all know that.
Yes. So I just want to circle back to something here. So, you mentioned you've got uh, somebody working on your generative engine, and I know that you've got, so it's the team from Acoustic Studio you mentioned. I mean, they're a pretty big deal. Like they've done, we when we were doing our research, we saw they did work with Billie Eilish. We saw they did work with, Bad Bunny, who's a really, really big, Puerto Rican reggaeton artist, right?
Yeah.
How did you all meet, right? So how did Moody's off doing Metaverse HQ fam things? You've been releasing collections on Rareable back in July 21. how did all of this come together, and how did you meet the team at Foostic? How did it all come together?
It comes together. So like actually the founders of RiceDay also are the founders of Foodstick, and at first like Zhang and Nam are the Foodstick, like two of the Foodstick founders, and I'm like just Zhang's best friend. So uh so at first they wanted to like create an NFT projects, but they didn't know where to start. And like at the same time, I was also doing UI UX. I was also working as an UI UX designer, and uh, so yeah, so we just team up together as friends, trying to explore the NFT world, having no idea where we are going to. But we didn't, drag the whole music unit studio in, because at first, like as I say, we don't really have an idea about it. But like after 6 months of like a lot of trying and also like failing a lot of errors, like we kind of, we were confident enough to like ask the other members of Foodstick to join the projects, because at that point we know where we are leading these people to, and we think that we would be confident enough to like step up and take the responsibility. Um, and like other members of Fistake, they have, back then, I think like 3 to 4 years ago, they have already been working together to found this physics studios, and it's actually also really impressive that they are all really young, and they have been like started also at friends in high school, and they all follow the creative way, and they all have been working as 3D visual artists. um yeah, and that's how we came together. Like me and Moody weren't from this physics studio at the beginning, but actually I was like a good friend of Zhang, and actually we also knew Moody, two friends. So yeah, I would say it's like, I think it's also really lucky how everything just come together and everything just fit. um yeah, so at the end we are working together as partners, like I would say, in NFT world, but we also just like general just friends in the real world as well.
It is
Yeah,
a
like
whirlwind of the space, isn't it?
yeah, it was like I mean, I kind of joined the space, and I was like kind of wanting to learn. I was learning Solidity. I kind of knew Solidity Web3, and then I was like, I want to do like a generative project. I want to kind of test it out, and so I kind of started talking to Rice or Die, the people behind that, and it turned out it was V who was behind it. And we started talking, and I was like, this is really interesting. Like the design looks very iconic, and I think it would really work well in a generative aspect. And that's kind of like where it was at. And this whole conversation started back in August as well. August was just like a turning point, I feel, in a lot of my life. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thanks for having me. Now, something that I want to dig into a little bit is around the roadmap. So, before we tuck into some more detailed questions, at a high level, can you take us through what people are going to be able to do with these RiceDay NFTs? What's the intent on mint, after mint, and then ongoing?
Yeah, sure. So with the Rice, the NFT, right? We were thinking, right, that we could just do normal art-based NFT collection, but we kind of thought that it might be more interesting if we kind of solve a solution with these NFTs and enable something through them. So we kind of thought, what happens if we kind of tie down like some of our core ethos, which is food and community, and that's why we're going with this idea that if you hold our NFT, our RiceDay NFT, you get access to our food loyalty program. This is kind of like our big thing. We want to give holders access to, like, if they go to partnered restaurants, they can earn grain tokens, and these grain tokens allow them to get access to deals and promotions at a variety of partnered restaurants. And so kind of like really going back to this idea is that, it's like if an anecdote that I kind of describe to everyone is like, for instance, like if someone goes from like I don't know, like Minnesota, and then they go travel to New York, and they for a business trip, and they go there. They can just open our web app, and they can see a list of partnered restaurants. And on the partnered restaurants, they can just go there, and they can meet up other RiceDay holders, as well as get great food, get that great company, as well as get a deal of their food, which I think is like a really nice thing. And New York isn't just what we have in mind as where we want our partner restaurants to be. We're kind of focused on multiple cities right now.
Yeah, you got it. That's actually pretty cool. We're going to get into that in a little while, actually, talking about what you got planned for New York. But I suppose at a high level, look, we've seen Web 2 food loyalty programs out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've existed for a long time, ever since there have been apps on phones. There's so many Web 2 loyalty programs out there already. How's RiceDay bringing a Web 3 flavor to the loyalty program business?
For us, it's like community is the core part of it, right? We want it to be where rice holders get access to our app. They can leave reviews for different restaurants, as well as they can easily plan stuff where they can meet up at these restaurants. And we're making it more community centric, whereby it's kind of the community who's kind of deciding which restaurants we partner up with. Because those are users, right? We're not just partner. Like if I go on my credit card app right now to see which restaurants I get loyalty points at, it's like restaurants like far, far away, or restaurants I normally don't even go to. While for this one, where it's like more community centric, where we have a team of ambassadors who are like recommending us restaurants we should check out, as well as they're reaching out on our behalf. So it's like restaurants people actually want to go to, or at least they have like some familiar connection to them, like either it's a family run restaurant or a friend runs it. So there's always like at the end of the day, they go to the restaurant, and it's like kind of like they can feel at home, or at least like they can feel relaxed, instead of just making it I'm not like a very like eat and then go back home. It becomes more fun. And I think like those are like those heartfelt meals, right? Like when you can have good company and good food.
That is definitely what it's about. Good company, good food, maybe a pint if it's on a Friday night. What do you
Yeah.
reckon, Mick?
Mm-hmm.
That's really really cool. Um, yeah. What do you reckon? What do you reckon, Mick? Did you have any other questions about the Web 3 flavor for RiceDay?
Yeah, I did want to just check because I agree. It's great that there's restaurants that are getting partnered and people can go and use their NFTs as a form of utility. But how are the team planning to bring that physical, real world restaurant element and the community, the Web3 socials, the community together? So what pardon me, what mechanisms are you employing to kind of bridge the two?
Right. So I think there are like two aspects to it. One of is like our web app. Our web app is kind of where people can check out the restaurants, as well as see the amount of grain tokens they've collected by going to these restaurants, and they can use these grain tokens to claim deals and promotions at said restaurants. But then to really build these connections, what we're doing is that we have these things called restaurant. We have a team of restaurant ambassadors. Anyone can sign up right now, and we just see the form. And if you're actually serious, you will get accepted into our program. And we offer our ambassadors rewards such as whitelist, free mints, token rewards, merch. So we make sure our ambassadors are well compensated, but we also make sure that they're well compensated for the results they provide us. And a lot of them, like they're going out to restaurants in their communities. They're going to them face to face. Like we have like constant calls with them. We're like, okay, maybe this might be the best method to go face to face, go text, go call. So we're like ongoing, like with people in different like geographical areas. We're asking them to just like see to go and reach out to their favorite restaurants and see if they're interested in working with us, or like if their friends own restaurants, like they're asking them to if they're interested in working with us as well.
Very cool. And in terms of the process by which you're onboarding restaurants, I might be jumping ahead a little bit with our questions, Vig, but I'm keen to understand what uh, what is the way by which people can show their NFTs at these restaurants and gain the benefit of having that NFT.
So what people do is that if you have access to a web app, all you need to do is provide the restaurant a QR code. So we kind of have this story in our pitch book where Sam goes to a restaurant. The first step is easy, right? He just goes to a restaurant, he orders his food, and when it's time to pay, he just shows them the QR code, and he just pays for his food. And then the QR code, once the restaurant scans the QR code, in the back end, we just calculate the amount of points, and then it's done, right? Sam has to do nothing else. The restaurant has to do nothing else, and later on, once he accumulates a lot of points, he can use that to redeem promotions or deals. And these deals are kind of just like kind of similar to how you redeem codes on like Postmates or those sort of restaurant-based platforms, right? We don't want to break the mold with how we're doing things. We want to keep it as simple as possible, but also show that we're like kind of create a new experience for people.
Gotcha. That's really really cool, and I'm really really interested personally to see how you execute this. I am a little interested, and we'll talk about it. And we hadn't had to talk about this a little later, but I'm interested to talk about it now. So, you know, uh, as we understand it, people who participate in the RiceDay ecosystem, right, whether they're holders of the NFT or and we'll talk about other methods of how people can get involved in your ecosystem a little later. But as we understand it, and as you're talking about, essentially you're going to have RiceDay NFT holders who are going to be able to go to these partnered restaurants, and they're going to be able to dine in, right, or eat at these restaurants or order from these restaurants and earn your ecosystem's utility token, the grain token.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little more about how people will earn the grain token? Is it, do I earn it per visit? Do I earn it based on the amount of money I spend? Or is there some other way of calculating it? Of course, if it's confidential, don't let me put you on the spot either, but what can you share?
So what we had in mind right now is based on like how much they spend per visit. So it's kind of like a mix up of what you said, right? And it especially works well like for the restaurant, right? They want to bottom line what these kind of restaurants want is like they want to bring in more people. They want to increase revenue, and I think the best way is like we bring them new and loyal customers. Um, and I think if it's like they earn points on based on every visit and how much they spend at each visit, I think it would be beneficial for the user as well as the restaurant. I mean, we're still right now our focus is still on the Genesis collection and procuring those initial restaurants. So we're still working on the tokenomics of the ecosystem. But yeah.
Awesome. And look, I think we're going to be looking forward to how that takes form over time. Sorry, over to you, Mick.
No worries, Vigil. On the topic of the token, so there's mention that non-holders will be able to subscribe to your platform by acquiring the token itself, Grain. How do you envision this will work? Will they be able to buy it from an app? Is there another mechanism in place?
So it's going to be an ER720 based token. We hope that it's available through like they can swap it on different platforms such as Uniswap or like those SushiSwap, those sort of platforms. So it's going to be ER720 based. So people who are holders of the token, they'll be able to sell it or put it in a liquidity pool if wanted. But that's kind of our intentions with our tokens for new people to enter, because we realize like 8.x k holders is good for a beta release to really test out what RiceDay can be and really prove our concept. And then I think once we do a token launch, we want to really bring in more people, and that way we can expand to more restaurants globally.
So I'm gonna be a little cheeky here, and and ask so let's say we've got grain token, right? And you're talking about utility. We've seen with certain projects, for example, with let's say with oil, right, from the Habibis, where
Yeah.
they can exchange, for example, if they got a marketplace, right, where they can exchange their oil for whitelist spots in projects, for example. Is there a world that exists where I can go to a RiceDay partnered restaurant, get some dope ramen or get some dope fried rice, earn some points, and over the course of a month, rack up some points and exchange those points for whitelist in an upcoming project that I like? Is that within, the realm of possibility?
Yeah, it was funny. Me and we were talking about this, right? We realized that not everyone, not all of our holders might be accessible to some of these restaurants. So we also want to encourage the metaverse element, the Web3 element. So yeah, that is something we had in mind. But it's not much of our focus. We realized, like, I think MVHQ does it so much better than us at procuring whitelists. So if there's some project that's kind of within our DNA, then sure, we can do sort of a deal like that.
You got it. You got it. Fair enough. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I'll be rooting from the sidelines, though, that maybe one day, my takeaway addiction can translate into whitelist spots. That's the dream. That's the dream. Sorry, Mick, over to you.
No worries. It is a good topic, though. So the green token, we've covered a little bit, but can we just loop back, maybe cover some pre-existing ground? How does the token and the NFT differ in terms of what you are getting from the restaurant or from, the Discord, the community? The token, no doubt, the NFT token will be able to earn grain, I assume. What are people going to be spending that grain on? What are some of the things you guys are planning for?
So the grain token will allow them to get. So once they have the grain token, if they procure enough if they hold enough of them, what we intend is that they can go to these restaurants and they can earn more grain tokens and accumulate more, and then they can spend these grain tokens on deals and promotions, similar to, I guess you mentioned, like Habibi's, like how they have like their all token. They have the store where you can buy these whitelist. We kind of have the same idea for our marketplace of deals and promotions. You occur like 60 grain tokens and you can buy a deal, a 10% off your next boba tea or something like that. That's what we kind of had in mind. And yeah, so as a grain token holder, you'll be earning less rewards than a NFT holder, than our Genesis holder. So that's kind of, I guess, I think that's what you were asking for.
Yeah, thanks. So there is going to be some ongoing benefit being part of the Genesis collection, but it's not really going to prevent new non-holders coming in and taking advantage of some of the benefits that you guys provide with the restaurants. So that's great.
So there will be there could be a set of deals that even token holder, like Genesis holders, will only have access to, rather than the token holders.
Awesome. Over to you, Vigil.
Yeah, gotcha. That's super cool. So, not many people know this, but I have a background in F&B and hospitality as well, and I know that we've got some restaurant operators as well in our space who are no doubt listening keenly to this. I'm wondering, from the perspective of a restaurant operator, or I run a cafe or a bar, and let's say I'm interested in getting on board with the RiceDay app. What are the expectations from my perspective as a venue operator? Are you integrating? Is the intent, sorry, for RiceDay to integrate into my point of sale? Do I need to use the RiceDay app, and do I need to scan something every time a customer turns up? Who uses RiceDay? How do you envision that working?
It's just a simple scan, right? If they're a holder, it's just a simple scan. That once they're paying for their meal, it's a simple scan and it's done. And the restaurant owners have to do nothing else, and the holders have to do nothing else. Just keep it very frictionless and simple as possible, where there's no new hardware they have to get in. Just the way most waiters or most people have their phones in hands, or they have an iPad when taking an order. So it's
Yep.
just a simple scan and done. A very simple process we want to create.
Gotcha. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And again, this is really cool. Like I just love I just love that you're just taking this Web3 spin on what's been really a legacy Web2 business. On the topic actually of a Web3 spin, and sort of I want to come back to this again. So people earn Grain token obviously for engaging with your ecosystem. Do you see the Grain token as a potential mechanism for community governance or the decentralization of governance in the RiceDay project in the future, in the long run? Again, you don't need to commit to anything. I don't want to stitch you up either, but what are your thoughts?
We are uncertain of that right now, but obviously that's kind of, well, in terms of like restaurant selection, it's more you community based. The kind of our holders are kind of deciding right now where we kind of want to really choose our restaurants. But we are not really going down the community governance route right now. We just want to build it up and create a community that's sustainable, and then maybe give it off to the community if once we have the foundation built in.
You got it. Very, very, very fair points. Mick, over to you.
Thanks, Vigil. So on the roadmap, and sorry in the background noise, we've got some gardening happening next door. On the roadmap, you talk about the golden rice plaque. So that's going to be based on user reviews, I believe. It's going to be based around Grain token. So how will these top restaurants benefit from or get the golden rice plaque? Will there be a global leaderboard? Where's this going?
So now what I mentioned is like on our web app, we will have like we will pull down review, like we'll pull down restaurants using different APIs, and then holders or your token holders can leave reviews there, and then the partnered restaurants, that's like kind of like as you said on the highest on our leaderboard, they get in different geographic layers, they will get the RiceDay golden plaque. And it's just kind of like a fun thing. We can have fun with our partnered restaurants, and kind of just give a bit of like a competition involved to keep things lively. But it's like just coming back to the idea that when someone goes to a new location, they kind of know the restaurant they want to go to, and really hang out. Because I think the restaurant that might get the golden plaque will be the one that where people can chill, hang out, but also get the great food.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
gotcha.
So people will then gravitate towards that place as well, because it kind of
Exactly.
lets
Yeah.
everyone in the community know that like this is where we hang.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like kind of like what we had in our pitch deck for all the um, for the restaurants, like the pitch deck for the restaurants is that we want them to kind of become the NFT or crypto hub in their cities, because like for instance, like when New York happens, we want people to like go, like they're there in their conference and it's lunchtime, they're like, oh, where should we go now? Let's go to the NFT restaurant, because we're giving like our holders deals, and it's kind of like we want them to just be the NFT hub in their cities. And I think for them, from an exposure standpoint, that could be a lot of new people coming in. So yeah.
So NFT NYC. Let's talk about that. You brought it up, and I've been waiting to ask you about this one. So on your
Mhm.
roadmap, you announced you'll be holding the first RiceDays in-person event, Steamed Rice Up at NFT New York, right? NFT NYC. Very exciting. What can you share with us about your plans for the night, without giving everything away? Obviously, I can imagine there's a fair bit you want to keep up your sleeve.
There's like, so yesterday we were talking to our whole team, our ambassadors in New York. I was like hyping them up. I was like, this is gonna be our proof of concept moment. Like we want to show the whole NFT world, like what RiceDay can really be and what we can really do. And so for that, what we have in mind is we plan to partner up with restaurants within the conference vicinity. and offer our token holders deals and promotions as well as secret menu items. I think a secret menu item could be a very cool way of like flexing who is a RiceDay holder. They order like some items that not other people can order. Is I think a very cool thing, a feature. But yeah, it's just we're trying to keep this very like straightforward, where token holders can get these special experiences at these restaurants, and then we hope to have like a dinner night out where people can get great food and just chill out. I think that week is like so tiring. We just want to create like a fun night out for these people, like just relax, drink some, eat some, and yeah.
Sounds good. That sounds good. I'm interested to see how that pans out. Sorry, Mick. I cut you off, my man. Go for it.
No worries. I actually wanted to check with V as the PM for the team. There's a web
Yes.
app in development. How far along the process are you with the application? And when will this be ready for people to kind of test out?
Yeah, so I would say the application would be ready really early after the minting part of our RiceDay. And we are in the process of like we already developed a user flow for the app. And I mean, like the only thing we are missing is just we need to get our restaurant partnership on board, which is being worked on by our ambassadors team. And we had just formed this team for I think about like a week now, which means they are working on the connections, and we are super excited to wait for the restaurant to come in. And yeah, we also have a strong team of like people who works on the flow of the app, and also like how would I say, yeah, UI designers who would like make sure that the app was not just easy to use, but also looking really friendly, user friendly. And it's gonna be how would I say, like yeah, I would say the app is like pretty ready. We just need the first part of the projects to be launched, which means the minting of the NFT, and then very very soon after the app, we would be able to like deliver this web app to our holders. And I think like probably we would even be able to like do that like very early before the NFT NYC.
That's exciting. And availability of the app, we're talking iOS and Android. Is there some constraints?
It'll be probably web, because as a app developer, I've had so much struggles, releasing apps on the Google and Apple Store. There's too many restrictions, and we saw that with the Bored Ape app. Like it was delayed for so long just to comply with their regulations. So we plan to make this entirely web based. So we that like it won't be like you can't download on the App Store. We plan to just make it web based, but it's going to be made sure that it can work on these different mobile devices, and make it very lightweight as well.
Yeah. So like it's also important for us that we are able to deliver this app globally, as we know many people around the world would be interested in using that one. So therefore we were trying to get rid of like as many barriers as possible by not trying to deliver it on App Store or Google Store.
That makes a lot of sense. So accessibility is key. As long as you've got access to a browser, you should be fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that. Simple is good. I have to be honest with you. I struggle a little with tech myself, Mick. I don't know about you, but man, but I tell you, that's really really awesome to hear. So just a general question for the team at the moment. Actually, I'm curious. You mentioned ambassadors earlier. How many ambassadors do you have at the moment, and across how many countries, and what's the aspiration, right? Also, share what the goal is.
Our ambassadors, we have almost like 36 ambassadors working with us. And these 36 ambassadors are based in major cities such as New York, Singapore, London, somewhere in the Bay Area. But right now, like we're really focused on these like three major cities. We're focused on these major cities such as like New York, London, Berlin, and Singapore, because I think a lot of our community is centralized in those locations, and I think it's kind of like a great area to really operate in because they kind of act like centralized locations. A lot of people travel to those areas, so yeah, that's where we are really focused on right now.
No, I love it. And you know, as somebody living in Australia, I'm out and about to Singapore a fair bit too. So you know, if you've got a couple of partner restaurants out there in the near future, you know, I think that'll be pretty
We do have like
exciting.
two people in like Australia. I'm forgetting.
Ah,
I think Sydney is one of them. But yeah, you know, we really want to do that. You know, we really want to be in these like Australia, and so you know, like if I ever travel there, you know, I can just go to these restaurants and just hang out. And I think that would be super fun.
Yeah, but also like it's from someone who have been living in Berlin, it's still a really funny feeling. Like although I've been doing NFTs for about years, and I know a lot of people know what NFT is by this point, but still, if I see like an poster of an NFT gallery somewhere outside of out on the street of Berlin, I would still be like, super surprised that many people know about NFTs. Although I know that they know, but still, to for people to be able to like host an event and something exclusively about NFT in real life is just something really fascinating for me, because I have been like until this point still think of NFTs like something really web, I would say like metaverse type of thing, and therefore. I'm really happy that we would be able to like merge the metaverse and the real life, and you can like imagine a scenarios where you know what RiceDay is, and you go out on the street and you see the restaurant, and on the poster is food plus NFTs. It's gonna be really exciting, and yeah, I think it would be really beneficial for the restaurants to be one of the pioneers or entrepreneurs. Like people look at them as someone who is like really into the trends. I think that would create a lot of explosion on social media as well.
I totally agree with you. You know, people love to go to restaurants and share their food. So why not share their food along with the branding for the NFT, and that Web3 space really starts to branch out there. That's great. One of the questions I had was around your partnership with your partnership with Oxygen Labs, so Raise Oxygen Labs. How is the team from Oxygen supporting your project, and how's that going?
The people at Oxygen are like some of the amazing people, right? Like they kind of steered us in this direction. We kind of had we were kind of worried, like, what can we do post mint? Like, really, like, how can we really innovate in this space? We had some ideas of partnering up with restaurants, doing a recipe book, but Auction Labs, like, kind of helped us step in. They kind of provided, they said, you should just focus on these restaurants. This is a great direction you guys can go in. And that's where that they kind of gave us the confidence to really be like, whatever, you don't want to do a game, we don't want to do any of that. I think we can build a whole new avenue here. And they've provided us with legal help, and as well as some social media advice to really grow the RiceDay project and brand.
love to see it. We love to see it. We love to see, you know, existing Web3 institutions like, like Raise Oxygen Labs, right? After coming off the success of, Nanoverse and so on and so forth, you know, helping to build up other projects. So it's just great to see the collaboration within the space. I think we all do love to see it. Before we sort of get into something a little exciting, and we are beginning to come sort of close to the end of our spaces here, and we do have a little something to give away for our lovely listeners out there today. I did want to ask. Now we know, of course, with RiceDay, there's going to be 8,866 of these gorgeous 3D NFTs. At this point in time, I think we don't necessarily have a fixed mint date and price, do we? At least in our research. Do you have anything you can share with us there, Moody, in terms of an approximate time frame? Given NFT NYC obviously happening in June, and you've talked about your web app potentially being just about ready. It's feeling like the rice cooker is almost coming close to done here. What can you share?
What I can share is that you can keep an eye next week. That's when we will reveal our release date, as well as you. I mean, most likely right now we're focused on the end of March, but stay tuned for next week. Keep notifications on Twitter if you guys are interested, because that's when we'll probably post. That's
Yeah.
when and where we'll post it.
Yeah, I would like to also say like our community also have been asking us like, are we delaying the project so that we can get into a bull market because it look bearish right now. So like from my perspective, I mean, um, if we like we don't really want to wait for that bull market because we think it's also a good opportunity for us to deliver what we can deliver best, and also it's on we take that as a good opportunity to like stand out. So yeah, therefore like we are pretty close to that point. So next week the official meeting date would be announced, and it's not going to be so far away.
Awesome. I love to hear it. And I recall we were doing a spaces with another team. I think it was the Martian Premier League, and they shared a similar sentiment. Believing that in the bear market, the cream rises to the top. And I certainly do think that it's amazing. It's awesome that you guys are continuing to build and stick to your plan here, and you're collaborating with the space. I just love to see it. Mick, I noticed you went off mute for a moment there. Did you have any closing questions for the team before we get into a little summit?
No, I was going to say pretty much the same as what you covered. It's great to see the confidence there that you're still going ahead with the launch, even in the current market conditions. And I do think, you're hitting a nice little niche here, which we haven't really seen anyone dive into the NFT space too hard. So, it's great. I like hearing about what you're doing.
Awesome. So that we're almost at the end here. Look, if you're still hanging out with us, make sure you give the RiceDay team a good solid follow on Twitter. RiceDay, that's at RiceDay GG. Make sure you check out their Discord as well. They've got some pretty interesting activities going on in there. But now we're gonna go into audience questions, I think. Just noting as well that we are also doing a little bit of a giveaway, I think it is today, courtesy of the RiceDay team, who've generously allowed for a couple of rice list slots. Obviously, the allow list equivalent here. So if there were any audience questions, please take the opportunity now, put your hand up, and come on down, and we'll get ready to take the first caller. But in the meantime, while you're thinking of a good question, maybe V and Moody, we'll start with V. What's your favorite dish talking about food?
Oh,
Maybe we'll start.
that's a question for me.
Yeah. Yes, go
Yeah,
for it.
because I saw someone coming up, so I was like, okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, I was confused
Yeah.
too, honestly.
Yeah. You can also share your favorite dish of course. Yeah, I would say like I'm in love with like Vietnamese cuisine, and I would say a lot of like dishes that come from Vietnam is really amazing. Like I miss it so much as I don't live in Vietnam at the moment. But I would say my favorite dish would be a dish is called sorry guys, it's called cơm sườn. So it's rice with like I would say rice and like Vietnamese style barbecue ribs, where we use a lot of spices like lemongrass and gingers, and just like it smells so nice that I miss that feeling of like driving on the street and smell that type of dish on back then when I was living in Saigon. And yeah, and I would say second favorite dish. I know you asked about one, but like, I would say the second one is summer rolls. I think that's kind of familiar for a lot of people. Yeah, it's also one of the dishes we had really often in Vietnam, and it's really healthy, a lot of vegetables in there, and it's fun to make because can gather around as a family and just do the summer rolls and enjoy it together. It's really nice. It's like a dish to eat together. Yeah, so that would be the answer to the question.
Awesome. And what about Moody? Moody, what's your favorite dish, my man?
Ooh, as a Pakistani, I want to say biryani. Biryani is one of my favorite foods. It's it's just like one of those things that takes you back. It's like one of those things you share with family, and it just good memories overall with it.
No, you got it, man, and that's awesome. So, we have got our first caller on stage here today, Stin. Good to see you.
Hey,
What's
hi.
your question for the team?
So I'm actually gonna start with the favorite rice dish actually, because why not?
Yeah, go
It's a
for it.
pretty simple one, but like me, I eat rice literally every single day, and that's why this project really resonates with me. But mine is pretty simple. I actually worked at a place that had this. It's white rice with cilantro, lime juice, and salt. It's pretty simple, but it's really good. And when I worked at Qdoba that had it, I literally loved it so much. But my question is, so if I own one of these NFTs, I see you guys talked about how like most of the partner restaurants are going to be in major cities. Well, I don't live in a major city, so is there going to be a way like where possibly some of my friends who live in New York could get the benefits for me having one of the NFTs or no? If not, completely fine. Just a question.
So that's kind of one of the things with NFT, right? Like it's just like proof of ownership. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, they won't be able to access the deals. But on the other hand, we realize that not many people like there are a few people who don't live in these major cities, and that's why on our Discord and on our community, we want to really give value to those people as well, and to like people like you as well. Um, Either we want to create kind of create this like foodie alpha group, kind of how MBHQ is like a trading alpha group. We want to kind of be that for food. Just provide you guys with like a lot of like food alpha, I guess is the best way to describe it. Recipe
Okay.
books, like live cooking sessions with good chefs, and just give you guys like some really great tips in that.
Awesome. Is there going to be any merch? That's my last question I'll ask.
We
Yeah. Yeah, there's gonna be much, and I would say very exciting much to all. Yeah, I wouldn't say like what it is right now, but I would say
Yeah.
we also have been planning on doing some really unique merch, and you can even like play with them, not just something to like wear and stuff. But yeah, we're gonna make sure we take good care of like our community. There's gonna be merch, and you're gonna have a lot of fun with it.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm so glad I'm in here. Thanks for letting me speak, guys.
Awesome. Thank you very much for coming up, Stin. And now, next up, we have Jordan. Why don't you help us host? Bring Jordan up here, and Stin, make sure you send a DM to the Metaverse HQ account with your wallet address for the allow list. Jordan, you are up here, my man. What is happening?
Hey, how you doing?
Very, very good. What's your question for the team, Jordan?
My question is, I'm someone who lives out in the Seattle area on the west coast of the United States. I know you guys mentioned New York and maybe the Bay Area, but I wanted to see if Seattle was on your guys' radar because it's definitely a major city with so many foodies, and even Los Angeles as well. I spend a lot of time there, so just curious on that.
Yeah, dude, like I love Seattle. I went there. I love that it was like such a great city. Yes, like if our community is interested in Seattle, then we'll go and do partnered restaurants there as well. But we want to create like we want to see if we have a good user population there before we start uh, we start partnering up with the restaurants right now in Seattle.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Jordan. Also, don't forget to send a DM to the Metaverse HQ account. Next up, we have a Full Meanies. Full Meanies, I believe it is. What's the next to raise their hands? Host, good sir. Also, big thank you and shout out to the man Poopaloop manning the Metaverse HQ account. Full Meanies, we got you on stage. What's your question for the team?
Yeah, also, I wanted to ask if there will be like rarity to the NFTs.
You were a little soft there, Full Meanies. Did you ask if there'll be rarity to the NFTs? Was that your question?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll have to ask that again. Sorry.
That was my question. Yeah.
Gotcha. That was the question. So for the team, will there be rarity to the NFTs?
Yes. We have one of our artists is just like focus on already creating a system where you get your NFT and you can easily identify how rare it is. So yeah, there is a rarity system involved in our collection.
Okay. And the mark, how are we going to get it? How are we getting it?
Thank you for the question.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Mick, were you able to catch that by any chance?
Was it how will we get the merch?
Or
I'm not sure. I think we may have had a connection issue there. Full Meanies, thank you for coming up, my man. Make sure you send a DM to the Metaverse HQ account with your wallet address. Next up, we have got Justin coming up here for the team. If we can get Justin, and a very big GM and big love to everybody hanging out with us today. We are just on the tail end of the session. Justin, we have you up on stage, my man. What's your question for the team? Justin Martinez, if you're there. We'll give him another couple of seconds.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me, guys?
Hey, we got you, Justin.
Yay, okay. Thank you for letting me speak. My question is, what is the best utility of RiceDay project?
what is
Sorry,
the
what?
best?
Best utility, yes.
Oh,
For us, I best utility is the food loyalty program, right? I think we're carving a new avenue here that's never been done before. So, and you get deals on your food. I guess that's one of the best things for most people.
yeah. So I would say if you ask about the best utility, I would say to join the best food community in Web3.
That sounds good.
We do love our good food. Justin, any other questions for the team?
So, what do you think is the future of this project? For me, personally, I think it's going to succeed.
For you, it is going to, like, we lost you there. Can you repeat it?
Um, it will be successful.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. So like when we think about developing RiceDay, we actually think of a long-term plans, at least we look ahead like from 1 to 3 years. So yeah, therefore the future of the project, we think we're trying to build up a general community, and we know that we are building up a community where people would also be companions to our projects for a long-term time. And therefore the future of the project, I think he's gone, but I would just try to finish the answer. So like the future of the project would be, I think you can look ahead into, like, I would say, like 1 year after, and you go on the street, and yeah, you would see restaurant partnership with RiceDay on the street, like even like where you live, like, because first we concentrate on bigger cities, but also then we would have the resources, and thanks for the distraction that we got from the bigger city, we will be able to like implement our programs in smaller cities, where At first, like, you look at for example, the delivery programs like Uber Eats, like at first they were at some bigger cities, but then they was like expanding a lot, and I think that's the future we can look forward to for RiceDay and RiceDay app as well.
Oh, you got it. And thanks, V, for the answer. And Justin, if you're still there with us, make sure you're sending a DM to the Metaverse HQ account with your wallet address. And for next up, we have Kosaki. Kosaki, we got you on stage right now. What's your question for the RiceDay team?
Thank you for having me here. So my question is, just like your collaborations with the Oxygen Lab, is there any other collab that is lined up or which we can expect in future?
I mean, the collaboration, it's more of a partnership with Auction Labs, but if you're asking, we're doing more collabs like with MVHQ. Yeah, we plan to do a few more collabs with other projects until mint date. But yeah,
Okay, that pretty much answers. Thank you.
You got it. And thank you for your question, Kosaki. Now, just for everybody who has come up so far, and I think we had, let's see, who did we have here? We had Stin, Jordan, Fulminis, Justin, and Kosaki. Make sure you're sending a DM to the Metaverse HQ Twitter account with your wallet address, because you've scored yourselves a slot on the RiceDay project's
could they
allow
send
list,
their
also called the
Discord
Rice list.
IDs? Sorry.
Sure, and your Discord IDs. You heard it from the man himself. So make sure you're sending that information through. Did we have any other final questions from the audience today before we wrap it up? We'll give it a couple of seconds. And it looks like that is a wrap for today. So thank you, everybody, for listening. A big thank you to the RiceDay team, V and Moody. Thank you so much for coming out and spending some time with us here today. Again, for everybody out there, check out RiceDay GG, the first, it seems, Web3 food loyalty program. Make sure you give them a follow on their Twitter account, RiceDay GG. Make sure you check out their Discord. And until next time, did you have any closing comments, actually, for the RiceDay team? Or Mick, for that matter?
Thank you for taking the time and running us through your project. I really like the direction it's headed. I wish you all the best, and we'll be keeping a close eye on how things go.
Thank you.
Yes.
It feels so weird. Thank you. It feels so weird being on the receiving end of this. I always watch the recordings, and I'm like, yo, it'd be cool to get the questions, and it finally happened.
Exciting times for you, Moody. Exciting times.
Yes. Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be there, and thanks for all the good questions. It's important to get questions and to know what people think about our project. So it's been amazing.
Oh, you got it. And look, again, I'm looking forward to enabling my my addiction for eating out with a little bit of Web3 loving. So again, big props to you and the team for what you're doing here. To everybody who's hanging out with us, thank you for listening. As always, this has been your Metaverse HQ Twitter Spaces with the RiceDay team. Again, give them a follow on Twitter and check out their Discord. Thanks again, everyone. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Take care. Bye bye.